Bethany school board officials spent the day trying to find a temporary site for their elementary school. The community grade school was partially destroyed by fire early Sunday morning. Board members didn't have to look far. The Bethany Nazarene Church has offered its educational facilities to house a majority of the 350 students. This doesn't mean the elementary students will be back in school tomorrow. It'll take several days for the board and church to make final arrangements. However, junior and senior high school students will be in class tomorrow after today's unexpected day off. Sherry Sellers, Action 4.
I don't know why Walt Disney didn't promote this film any more than they did. It's a good movie. I've seen better, but I've seen much worse. Watching the Woods is a suspense thriller about a family who experiences strange, mysterious events after moving into an old English estate. When they first move in, they meet Betty Davis, portraying a strange, lonely lady at the house. David McCallum plays the father of the family, Paul Curtis. Carol Baker is Mrs. Curtis. The two daughters are played by Kyle Richards and Lynn Holly Johnson. Lynn portrays Jan Curtis, who seems to be the main target of these strange occurrences. It's a weird phenomenon. The one she most often encounters is the image of another girl who's blindfolded. Here in this scene, she's at an amusement park when she sees it again. That girl in the mirror is the image of Betty Davis's daughter. She mysteriously disappeared 30 years earlier. After a while, Jan decides to take it upon herself to investigate how and why the girl disappeared. While searching through the woods, Jan falls into a pond, and Betty Davis saves her.
Mrs. Elwood, I don't know how to thank you for saving me.
What kind of name is that? Nerrick.
Ellie just made that up. It's the name Karen spelled backwards. What is it? What's wrong?
That was my daughter's name. Karen.
Mrs. Thayer told us you'd lost your daughter. I'm sorry.
It's nice to see Betty Davis again, but she has had better performances. Overall, Watcher in the Woods provides some suspense and mystery. It's a little slow in spots, and there are some flaws in the script. The main action of the film is the pursuit by Jan and her sister, trying to find out what happened to Davis's daughter. The final answer and ending are rather unique. Watcher in the Woods, even with the minor flaws, is a good movie for both kids and adults. I'm Dean O'Lally.
The robbery took place at about 10:15 this morning when two white males wearing plaid flannel shirts, jeans, and ski masks entered the branch office. Both men armed with revolvers. One of the bandits reportedly jumped over a counter, gathered an undetermined amount of money, and left with the other man. No shots were fired, no one was hurt. Both are white males in their mid-20s. One is 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. The other 5'10" and stocky. They fled in a vehicle described as an old red pickup. Early this evening, FBI agents were called to a church parking lot about a half-mile from the Savings and Loan. A church worker reportedly saw three men get out of this truck and change cars. The church maintenance man then notified authorities.
But when I came down and found the registration form and what it was, and I called down, and the secretary told me, said yes, that it has been stolen. Then I said, well, now I found your pickup. You can come in your truck. You can come get it. Call the police department and tell them where it's at, and I'm also going to call and tell them they better come check it, because I think we found something.
The FBI is not sure this is the getaway truck. However, agents have reason to believe the robbers abandoned their truck at some location and then switched to a 73 to 75 model brown Maverick with Alabama plates. The truck was found less than a half mile from the Savings and Loan. However, as of late this evening, no word on any of the suspects. Larry Otis, Action 4, Southwest Oklahoma City.
For some time now, county government has been under attack in Oklahoma, specifically in the area of road maintenance and construction. In light of the county commissioner scandal, it's common knowledge that thousands of dollars, which should have gone into road improvement, have been merely wasted, stolen, or misused. The taxpayers have suffered by battling dangerous bridges, narrow roads, and insufficient highways. Today, the Oklahoma Highway Users Federation voted unanimously to support a resolution they hope lawmakers will see fit to follow. They suggest county roads be supervised by a county road superintendent or engineer, with county commissioners acting as advisors. At today's meeting, Minority House Leader Neil McCaleb also pledged his support for improved road legislation.
People's lives are being lost daily, both on the county and the state highway system. And it's no mystery, the state's identified these areas that are critically deficient. The sight distances are too short, the curves are too short a radius, the bridges are too narrow. That's where people die. And that's what needs to be fixed. We did a study during the Bourne administration, our highway department did, and identified thousands of miles of critically deficient highways in the state of Oklahoma. And we need to go about fixing those.
McCaleb stresses if citizens are concerned about losing lives and property on hazardous roads, they should contact their legislator and make their views known. Carol Lambert, Action 4.
There's probably 40 or 50 guys that ride good enough, or let's say 100, that ride good enough to qualify here at the national finals. But there's only 15 of them that make it.
Bobby Berger of Lexington, Oklahoma knows what he's talking about. He's paid the price. Believe it or not, Berger is considered old for his profession. He's 36. Most men who do what he does are under 30. He's a saddle bronc rider. He won the title of world champion in 1979. Berger, to say the least, is modest. When he started rodeoing, he says he was a nobody.
World champions aren't born with that buckle when they come into this world. And irregardless of what your background or who you are or where you came from, we've all got the same shot when we start. In other words, you don't have to be raised on a ranch or growing up with a rodeo outfit or a stock contractor. It's a learned skill.
Berger is a small man, 5'6", 135 pounds. He feels his size is to his advantage.
The smaller guys look better on the animals. Stock generally performs a little better. And you know, like on spinning, quick-moving animals, if you're shorter in stature, you've just got that much less move to make than a real tall guy.
In 1971, Berger was runner-up for the all-around cowboy title. In 72, he wrote a book called Basic Bull Riding. He and Larry Mahan are the only two cowboys to ever qualify in the national finals in 3 different riding events. He's considered one of rodeo's premier businessmen. He's made more than $500,000 in his career. When he's not flying his own plane from rodeo to rodeo, he's raising registered cattle on his ranch near Lexington. He isn't sure when he's going to give it up, but when he does, he'll be missed. Ben McCain, Action 4, in the Mirrors.
The potential for water pollution is everywhere, from empty drums and paint cans in a paint yard to a chemical reprocessing plant, to giant refineries that always seem to front on rivers, to rivers themselves like this one in Cleveland. They say the river in Cleveland doesn't burn anymore, or to the New York garbage scows which feed the gulls and follow the ocean. The potential for water pollution is suddenly a very real thing in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's Tar Creek in northeast Oklahoma has replaced New York's dreaded Love Canal as the country's #1 polluted area with hazardous waste, this designation by the Environmental Protection Agency. Oklahoma Congressman Mike Sinar and Kansas Congressman Bob Whitaker are members of a House subcommittee studying toxic waste sites across the country. And recently they toured the Tar Creek area.
Everybody hear this? Watch where you step because we don't want somebody going down.
This ground is kind of soft and...
Thousands of persons are affected. The toxic waste threatens the Rubidoux Aquifer, that area's underground water source. Sinar says he's working to get a cleanup going, but first things first.
I think our designation as the #1 area definitely gives us an opportunity to seek funding. Obviously, we've got to do more studies to find out where the critical areas are, to do a cost-benefit analysis, and hopefully from there we will be able to get the necessary funding. But we're going to be pitching pretty hard in the next week to EPA on this project.
The farmer, the biggest water users, may be the biggest water polluters. Some experts suggest that pesticides and some fertilizers may be seeping into the groundwater in heavily farmed areas. But it doesn't take an expert to understand that sometimes even Mother Nature conspires against us.
That's what happened is we're going to lose a lot of drought, which the salt water is going to come into the freshwater area. And what they got to do is they got to try to stop the salt water coming into the freshwater, which, I don't know, they're talking about saving water. But why didn't they talk about this 10 years ago, just like saving oil?
It was last year's drought that caused the saltwater invasion in cities like Philadelphia, where reduced water flow in the Delaware River permitted the salt water to come further upstream. In Houston, though, the salt tide is the fault of man and his water pumps. Too much underground water has been taken out, and the sea is seeping in. When people say we may be running out of water, they mean we may run out of clean water.
In the locker room before the performance, the cowboys gather to trade tales of the animals each has drawn in the evening's competition. Few of them notice artist Walter Spitzmiller quietly sketching his impressions of rodeo life. Walt is a nationally known sports artist whose work has appeared in several national magazines. For the past 2 years, he has followed the rodeo circuit, and his perseverance has really paid off. His collection of rodeo oils is currently on display at the Myriad. In rodeo, as with all of Walt's assignments, he tries to learn everything he can about his subjects.
I try to open myself up as much as I can to what's happening in front of me. Then I start to get a feel for it. The tack, old leather and the old ropes, it says exactly what they are. You make some thumbnails, you shoot some pictures, you go back to the studio. When I got them all laid out there, when I have 300 slides laid out in front of me, I begin to see things that I didn't see. That's why I use the camera.
Sometimes Walt's paintings depict rodeo traditions, like this one of the opening ceremonies. When the lights come on, Walt can be found close to the action, trying to capture the essence of what to him is a special kind of athlete.
Emerson said that one has to listen to himself, that real genius comes from within. And I think these people listen to themselves, maybe more than others do. Because it's not a sure thing. You got to be listening to yourself to say, to get up and say, got to ride a bull to pay the rent. But the bull is unpredictable. The animal's totally unpredictable. The bucking horse is unpredictable. The calf is unpredictable. You don't know which way he's going to turn. And they've got to use all their athletic ability and all their intellect to make it happen. Something that strikes me. Are these guys, in effect, fantasizing as they come out of the chute? Are they reliving Frederick Remington's portrayal of it?
The answer to that question is no. Not Frederick Remington's portrayal, but Walt Spitzmiller's. And that, along with his pride in personal achievement, gives Walt a lot of satisfaction. Brian Gill, Action 4.
Traffic investigators suspect the driver of this truck may have been drinking shortly before the accident. The truck struck another car from behind at a speed of 70 to 80 miles an hour and spun end over end with enough force to snap a utility pole. A passenger escaped, but the driver was trapped.
As I came over the hill, it had already flipped, and as I was pulling up, it burst into flames. I ran up to the vehicle and tried to grab hold of the man to pull him out. Flames were getting pretty fierce, and the fire was spreading and burnt my sleeve on my shirt and burnt my glove up trying to pull the man out from the pickup. He was still alive in. Was unable to get him out. Evidently his feet is tangled up or in the dash somehow. Unable to pull him out. Flames got so bad that we had to retreat from the pickup. Tried using a little fire extinguisher on it until the fire department got here. I was unable to, with the size of fire extinguisher I have, make any type of effective means to save a gentleman's life.
Dead is 21-year-old Weldon Parton of Oklahoma City. His passenger has not been identified. 4 people were in the car Parton hit. None were seriously injured. 2 passengers were treated and released from Children's Hospital. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4.
In the locker room before the performance, the Cowboys gather to trade tales of the animals each has drawn in the evening's competition. Few of them notice artist Walter Spitzmiller quietly sketching his impressions of rodeo life. Walt is a nationally known sports artist whose work has appeared in several national magazines. For the past 2 years, he has followed the rodeo circuit, and his perseverance has really paid off. His artwork was on display at the Myriad during the rodeo. In rodeo, as with all of Walt's assignments, he tries to learn everything he can about his subjects.
I try to open myself up as much as I can to what's happening in front of me. Then I start to get a feel for it. The tack, old leather and the old ropes, it says exactly what they are. You make some thumbnails, you shoot some pictures, you go back to the studio. When I got them all laid out there, when I have 300 slides laid out in front of me, I begin to see things that I didn't see. That's why I use the camera.
Sometimes Walt's paintings depict rodeo traditions, like this one of the opening ceremonies. When the lights come on, Walt can be found close to the action, trying to capture the essence of what to him is a special kind of athlete.
Emerson said that one has to listen to himself, that real genius comes from within. And I think these people listen to themselves, maybe more than others do. Because it's not a sure thing. You got to be listening to yourself to say, to get up and say, got to ride a bull to pay the rent. But the bull is unpredictable. The animal's totally unpredictable. The bucking horse is unpredictable. The calf is unpredictable. You don't know which way he's going to turn. And they've got to use all their athletic ability and all their intellect to make it happen. Something that strikes me. Are these guys, in effect, fantasizing as they come out of the chute? Are they reliving Frederick Remington's portrayal of it?
The answer to that question is no. Not Frederick Remington's portrayal, but Walt Spitzmiller's. And that, along with his pride in personal achievement, gives Walt a lot of satisfaction. Brian Gill, Action 4.
Stephanie always wanted to read Canada. So that's where he's supposed to end up. So all I know is I've been reading in the newspapers and watching on television. I think what they're doing right now is the best method, just letting the Polish people know we care for them, giving them some hope that we are still over here, and also the fact we are sending food to them. Just that type of encouragement is right now pretty important.
The break-in service was caused by human error when a workman accidentally closed a valve. About 1,500 customers of Oklahoma Natural Gas were affected. This morning, service was being restored. ONG repairmen had to find literally hundreds of meters, turn them off, and then restore the gas by lighting the pilot light. If you don't have your gas by now, it might be because you weren't home today.
Turning the customers back on is more of a problem, simply because you do have to make personal contact with someone at that location. And at each residence and each place of business that was affected, we have to find someone there, and we have to go in and make sure that the pilot light has been turned on. When we turn them off, all we have to do is turn them off at the meter, which is much simpler. But turning them back on is a more difficult process because we do have to have someone at home.
So this evening, most homeowners should be more comfortable, considering yesterday they were without gas. And if they used gas for heat, that meant their homes were cold. Bella Shaw, Action 4 in Far West, Oklahoma City.
This miscarriage of justice must stop. I am not a criminal.
With those words, Gary Green echoed the sentiments of the more than 11,000 air controllers fired by President Reagan on August 3rd. Green has been convicted of a felony in connection with his activities in the PATCO strike. For Green and the other strikers, this holiday season has become a time of frustration and even desperation. PATCO has hired a public relations firm to help them get their arguments across. The latest round of PATCO attacks against the Reagan administration began last night at a meeting in Arlington, Texas. PATCO claims President Reagan has broken the promises he made to the union while he was running for office.
President Reagan has taken our jobs and essentially told us, if you ever want to see your jobs again, you'll do what we command. Brothers and sisters, we have been duped.
PATCO officials hope tonight's meeting is the rebirth of their cause. But unless PATCO can gain enough support to put pressure on Washington, they may soon be facing a last hurrah. Bill Ross, Action 4, Arlington, Texas.
You've been shopping all day. Get out for one more little item on the list. Leave someone else's Christmas morning surprise sitting on the front seat. hoping a thief doesn't like your choice and decide to steal it. But at the Heritage Park Mall in Midwest City, you can go on with your shopping, a little more secure that your valuables are safe outside, because on the roof, someone is watching.
Well, the Law Enforcement Explorer Scouts, we utilize them. It's their way of being able to help the community through the year. And at this time of the year, of course, as you well know, traffic increases because of the holiday seasons and so forth. They can oversee the parking lot and the safety of the people that come to shop, and also kind of watch their vehicles, and somebody attempting to possibly burglarize a vehicle and steal somebody's packages or the vehicle itself, or purse snatching or anything of this nature.
If the explorers see anything suspicious going on in the parking lot, they can radio to the mall's security force on the ground.
983. Yes, I see a suspicious suspect over here by a green four-door, white male, dark hair over in about 6 feet, 1 or 2, somewhere around there. I need you to set an officer out here in the north lot.
The explorers aren't police, but they do help the police with manpower problems during the Christmas season.
He's just running over to a red car. He's driving a red Falcon, I think, and he just got in it. Yeah, that one right there.
Heritage Park officials say they don't have any more of a theft problem than other area malls. The explorers are just an added precaution to make sure a thief doesn't ruin the Merry Christmas shoppers have paid for. Ted Brown, Action 4 in Midwest City.
Almost every day there's history being made at Tinker, but today history is being made in a very unique and very special way that I think is significant to the country, and that is the modification of the B-52 to carry the cruise missile. Now, this modification work will be done here at Tinker, so in addition to buying the components from Boeing aircraft for delivery here, we will also be installing those components with our workforce at Tinker. System and the capability to carry the cruise missile. Now, this modification work will be done here at Tinker, so in addition to buying the components from Boeing aircraft for delivery here, we will also be installing those components with our workforce at Tinker.
Congress are well known. The existing law setting out Oklahoma's congressional districts is a product of the elected representatives of the people of Oklahoma. It was created after full and free hearings and in strict accordance with the legal requirements, state and federal. The plan that is backed by the Republican Party is its agent, Senator Pierce, and other persons with access to grind can claim no such legal and wide attention in its creation. The motives behind the Republican plan are therefore purely partisan and not based on any consideration of what is in the best interest of Oklahoma.